This is Leslie Blake. I'm an attorney of some 25 years and more in practice, and I'm going to tell you today about maintenance amendments, variations of maintenance. So I'm talking to the ladies and the odd gent who has a variation in mind because you have had a maintenance order before. So this really is only applicable if either you've got a divorce order or you previously had an order from the maintenance court. In that case, you must apply to a maintenance court for variation. You aren't, in my view, entitled to go to the High Court or any other place for a variation application. You must bring your application in the maintenance court, and this is the form that you need to complete. So obviously it comes out rather funny on here, but if you go to the Department of Justice's website, you will see it's J107E, and that is a form which is called substitution or discharge of existing maintenance order. On the first page, you're just going to complete your details, the person who's receiving maintenance, and the details of the name of the person who owes you the maintenance. In this video, we'll call that person the respondent. So on page 2, it asks you for the details of the child in the matter, and it asks you on page 3 to explain the order that you already have. So it says good cause exists for the substitution of the maintenance order, and it says what order you wish to substitute it with. So you have to set out the details of what it is you want as the new order on page 3. Now, often I'll have ladies say to me, I don't know what amount I want. And you don't really know what amount you're entitled to because maintenance is payable between two parents pro rata to what they earn. So in order for you to understand exactly what you're entitled to by way of maintenance, you need to know exactly what the other person is earning. And I have yet to come across the chap who has told his ex-wife or his former girlfriend exactly what he currently earns. Maybe there'll be one day. Page 4 is where you fill out the details of your budget, and you set this out as per the form in some detail. Now, what I'm going to suggest to you is that you don't fill out page 3 until you've finished filling out the budget form. When you've completed the budget form in its entirety, you can then have a guesstimate of what you think potentially the other person earns and apply that as a proportion to the earnings. Even if you took it at 50-50 and ask for a bit above that, then at least you've got room to come down. But there are, there have been known to be some magistrates or maintenance officials that say if you ask for 5,000, then you're not allowed to get 6. So rather err on the side of generosity, put in a sum that is a little bit on the large side in your page 3 in asking for a figure, and then you can always reduce it. You can also say, I want this much as the cash portion, and then here you can describe, I want him to pay school fees, I want him to pay medical aid, or that sort of thing, whatever the respondent is being requested to pay. You can also ask for a percentage of the school fees or a percentage of the medical aid costs, if that is what you guys have already done, or if that would work for you. My guideline is always, the more non-compliant your respondent is, the greater the cash component should be. So there really is no point in having a court order that says he must pay school fees, and then in November of each year you find out that no school fees have been paid, and you then have to go and make loans to pay those school fees and hope that one day you'll get the money back from him. Rather, if this is a person who doesn't pay the fees, ask for cash. It's easier to sue for cash. It's easier to get an arrears order for cash. So preferably cash, but if they're a good payer, you might want to say, okay, school fees and medical aid. When it comes to this form, these pages of the forms, my applicants usually get a little bit confused about what goes where. So you start out with the total. Let's say your accommodation is 10,000 Rand per month. You're going to put that in the total column. How are you going to arrive at the distribution of that amount between the self and the children aspect. That is defined by how many people are in your household. So the child's portion is always 1/2 of an adult's portion. And yes, that means even including your 17-year-old son who eats twice as much as you do. Unfortunately, the law is that his portion is also half the adult's portion. So you're going to take your total expenditure on those items that are household items, such as accommodation, water and electricity. Those amounts you're then going to divide between yourself and the child or the children on the basis that each child is 1/2 of the adult. So you're going to say for each adult, you count 2, let's say it's yourself and your mom in the household, and 2 children, one of whom you're asking for maintenance for. That's 2 for you, 2 for your mom, 1 for the child, 1 for the other child. So your whole household is 2, 4, 5, 6. You're only asking for 1 child, so that's 1/6 of that total. So if your total lodging for the month was then, let's say 12,000, your 1/6 of that 12,000 is what you fill in the children line. You have to put that in respect of each of the household items. For the gentlemen watching this video or the respondents watching this video who say, but I shouldn't have to pay for her house, well, I'm afraid you do. And that's just how it is, and that's the law. So we're not having a debate about why or how fair or unfair that is. I'm telling you how the law actually works. You're obliged to make a contribution to the accommodation of the child's reasonable general needs. And that means that children eat, and they live in a house, and they need water, electricity, transport, and all those other necessities of life. Go through each of the items and try and do this with a set of your bank statements in front of you. I find that it's helpful for clients to print out 3 months worth of bank statements and actually mark on those what your different expenditures are. And then, of course, this list is a good reminder of some things that you don't perhaps buy every month. So on the things which you don't buy every month, such as clothing for the children, take a look over your 3 months worth of bank statements and say, okay, I've bought 2,000 rands worth of stuff in 1 month, and I then did that again twice more this year. So that's 6,000 for the year. Divide that by the 12 months. It doesn't have to be a precise amount each and every month. It must be a reasonable estimate of what you're paying. So if you cannot find any substantiation that you've bought your child any clothes, then put in a very minimum amount of money. If you, in fact, are spending 5,000 Rand a month on your child's clothes, and your ex has an income of 150,000 Rand a month, then that's a reasonable amount of money to be expending on those child's clothes, if, for example, that is in accordance with your standard of living. So, all of these things will always be specific to the family involved. The child's own specific expenditure must also go in that separate section. So educational expenditure, their extramurals, whatever they might be. And again, you need to be aware that this is a monthly amount. So right on the side, you see you've got 2 little lines. What I do is in the self section, you can write what the total is. So for example, if the child goes to ballet and it's 1,000 Rand per term, write 1,000 Rand per term, so that you remind yourself how you've arrived at that figure that you've put in under children. Otherwise, you tend to get to court and think, why did I say it was 300 Rand a month? And you'd forgotten how you'd calculated it. These things do, of course, change over periods of time. Don't be too fussy about getting it exactly and perfectly right, okay? It is an intelligent estimation. It is not absolute perfection. So when you've got to the totals and you get to the end here, you're going to total up the children column. Some maintenance clerks want to make you total up the self column, and So I would put in a figure there, but it is not of great importance generally, and many courts won't depend on it. If you find that the amount that you're spending every month is more than the amount that you earn, well, congratulations, you're one of a million South Africans who have that problem. And it's always a useful process to go through to understand what you are spending your money on. Once you've completed this form, you are then going to take the child or the children's birth certificates, your FICA documents showing where you live, and your pay slips, as well as 3 months worth of your bank statements. And of course, if you have your previous court order at a different court, or if you have a divorce order, then you'll take those court orders with you, an original or certified copy, to court to issue out your application for a variation. Which court must you go to? You must go to the court of the jurisdiction in which you reside, not the dad resides, you reside. You can also go to the court of the jurisdiction which is closest to your place of employment. So if that's easier for you, there's been an amendment to the law to allow you to do that. Good luck, ladies, and you're welcome to post queries on the Blake Attorneys website. We'll see if we can help you from time to time.